Alrighty, hello everyone. We're gonna start a new unit here today. Um, Remember, we're trying to make sure we're ready to start our study of calculus, hopefully sometime in the beginning or middle of May. So this next unit is gonna take us through spring break and a couple weeks after probably. But the whole unit is gonna be just about graphing functions and all of the different types of functions that we need to know how to graph and to be familiar with their graphs and their shapes and some of the basic rules for sketching graphs of different types of functions. So we're going to start with the most basic of functions that we can think of, linear functions. So really all the lessons this week should hopefully be review of things that you learned in Algebra 2, but things that are fundamental and essential for us to be able to move on and go into studying calculus. So let's start talking about what linear functions look like. We've talked a lot about linear functions this year and how, and really in the last couple months, remember in chapter 8, we talked about all those different forms of the equation of a line. We're going to start today by talking about the standard form of the equation of a line, which would look like this. We talked about this a little bit when we were in chapter 8 learning all those, or chapter 9 when we learned the polar form of the line and the normal form and all of that. But this is the standard form of a line. Remember, it's some coefficient times x plus some coefficient times y plus some constant coefficient, all set equal to 0, where a and b are not 0. If a or b are 0, then this loses one of the variables. It stops being a linear function. It still could be a line, but it's not the type of function that we're trying to talk about. So next, some basic terms here, x-intercept and y-intercept. Hopefully we know what these mean. The x-intercept is the point where the line crosses the x-axis. And of course the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay, and what's important for us to recognize is how we can find those intercepts. Okay, the x-intercept is on the x-axis. Look down here. And if we think about any point on the x-axis, has to have a y-coordinate of 0. So a y-coordinate of 0. So the x-axis always occurs when y equals 0. And in fact, that's typically how we'll find the x-intercept, is to plug 0 in place of y. By the same logic, any point on the y-axis would have to have an x-coordinate of 0. So the y-intercepts occur when x is equal to 0. So really critical that we understand what the x and y-intercept are. Hopefully that's real basic. Not just what they are, but also we need to know how to find them. So let's practice that right here. Let's graph this line using the x and y-intercepts. If you're given a line in standard form, typically the easiest way to go about graphing that, not always, there's other ways to do it, but one of the easy ways is to find the x and y-intercepts. Once you know the x-intercept, that's a point on the line, and the y-intercept, that's also a point on the line, then we can just connect the two dots, and 2 points will always determine one unique line. So to find the x-intercept, I want to replace y with 0. So if I look at my equation, that's 3 times x minus 0. If I replace y with 0, minus 2 equals 0. So this would leave me with 3x minus 2 equals 0. And hopefully a little bit of basic arithmetic shows me that x is equal to 2/3. Next I need to find the y-intercept. And I know that the y-intercept occurs when x equals 0. So I would replace x with 0. Minus y minus 2 equals 0. And that gives me negative y minus 2 equals 0. If I add 2 to both sides, negative y equals 2. And that means positive y will equal negative 2. So this is our x-intercept and our y-intercept. And now I can just plot these 2 points on my graph, and I will be able to draw a line connecting the two. Maybe to make our scale line up a little bit better, I'll make 3 boxes correspond to 1 unit. That'll help me to sketch this more easily. The x-intercept is at 2/3. The y-intercept is at -2. And then I can just connect the 2 dots, the 2 points, and there's my line. Okay, so hopefully that's a pretty basic review. Although probably in geometry you didn't spend a lot of time talking about standard form of the equation, but now we're getting used to that. If you're given a line in standard form, typically the easiest way to graph it is to find the x and y intercepts and go from there. In the next video, we're going to talk about the idea of slope. Hopefully, again, that will be a nice basic review for you.